I don't even have to scan through to find it. All I did was just turn on it. So you want to understand the progression in long and transverse because that's how your protocol works. In your protocol, you're not going to go long transverse, long transverse, long transverse. You're just going to go long transverse. So understand how it works in your protocol. Don't just constantly be going like this, but in terms of understanding how it works and understanding your anatomy, this is a good little trick for you. Okay? And then the tail picture, I kind of feel like it's my favorite one, personally. For this picture, a lot of times what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to angle through the pancreas to get to the pancreas. Has anybody told you that yet? When somebody said that to me, I was like, you want me to what? With my Like, okay, give me just a sec. I got my dual screen mixed up. You can tell I'm supposed to be on my Philips machine because I'm not knowing my buttons. Okay, breathe. I pushed you to the limit there. So your tail, it's gonna come right down. So this is still transverse. So if you took me and you cut me open just like this right now, and you laid me on the table like this so you could look from my feet, you would see a slice of my pancreas just like this, and it does run transverse in the body, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have dimension in long. So you still have to think about the fact that it's not just gonna go straight, it's not perfectly across like this, it's going to have a little curve to it. So when you look at the tail, that's why we angle our probe a little bit. We oblique our probe so that we can catch as much of it as we can, because it's not just totally straight and flat across. So we have our splenic vein and our splenic artery, and that's all you have in terms of landmarks in your tail. So all you
long, where does it end?
In long,
Yeah.
well, it kind of ends right here. So let's look at it all by itself.
Oh, okay, I see.
And that's why you want to make sure you adjust your depth appropriately so you can see the whole thing. Big deep breath and hold. And the tail is going to be the one that you have to fight the most gas for, because if you look here, what do you have? Bowel. So your tail is here. When we go long on it, it's going to end. Here's your borders.
Do you use the cursor?
Oh.
Yes, absolutely. So here are your borders of the pancreas tail. And if it helps, color map can sometimes help you to delineate structures a little bit better so you can see around the tissue. And the other trick is to look through it in live. So I have looked live at a long pancreas tail more times than I could ever count for you. And I just develop an understanding that you don't have yet. So I'm looking at this pancreas, I'm looking at the tail. I know that I need to come more to the right and angle over in order to make sure that I'm getting all the tissue here, because otherwise I may miss some due to the gas. So relax. You can just breathe normally. So look what's anterior to the pancreas. The light of the sun coming through the clouds. Like this is stuff you're gonna see all the time. Does that mean I can't see the pancreas? No, I'm just gonna come up and use my liver as a window and angle down. So when I say use the liver as a window, I mean make the first thing that your sound beam hits your liver before it hits the structure that you're trying to look at. So here's my probe, it is curved. Here's my probe, it is curved. The first thing I'm hitting is skin. The second thing I'm hitting is all of her muscle tissue. The next thing I'm gonna hit is her liver capsule, her liver, then I'm gonna hit this pancreas tissue right here. So if I come from over here, the first thing I'm hitting is skin, muscle, tissue, and gas. Not helpful. So you want to come around the structures that you're trying to look at. Come above it and angle down. Come below it and angle up. What happens if you do that? What's gonna happen if you come down here and angle up? I don't know, find out, scan it, figure it out. Come up here and angle down. If I come from here and angle down, I find that I see the pancreas more often. So I've learned this little trick and that helps me out. So same thing, when we're looking at the tail, you can come from through the pancreas tissue. So when I'm scanning through the pancreas, I have my head, my neck uncinate, my body, and my tail. When I'm looking at the tail, I'm gonna come from the right and I'm gonna kind of angle towards it, and I'm gonna sweep all the way out past the tissue, and I'm gonna come back in. And you can see it here, and even though she's breathing, I can still see the borders here, right here, sorry. So just watch it disappear and then watch it come back in and scan through it and see how everything runs, see how the vessels are moving through the tissue, and you can start to see your borders. And whenever you're gonna measure something, you should already have your borders picked out before you freeze. So deep breath and hold. So right now, if you asked me to measure this, let's pretend it was a mass, I've already picked my borders out before I froze my image. That way I know exactly where I want to measure. Let's say you asked me to measure this, and as soon as I froze, I wasn't sure. Then I'm gonna unfreeze and take the picture again and make sure that I'm confident about my borders.